Welcome everybody to part 1, Introducing QuickBooks Online Accountant. This is part 1 of the QuickBooks Online Fundamentals series, and I'm very glad to have you all joining us today. I'm going to be your presenter for all 3 of these webinars over today and next week. My name is Michelle Long, and I'm a CPA with an MBA in Entrepreneurship. I'm the owner of Long for Success. I started my own practice a long time ago, over 20 years ago. And over the years, my practice has changed and evolved. And I first started teaching QuickBooks in 1999, QuickBooks Desktop. I was teaching it to the local SBDC and things like that. And so I'm a longtime desktop user and trainer. I've written books on QuickBooks Desktop. I've co-authored the Advanced Cert on QuickBooks Desktop. And about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when they updated QuickBooks Online, then I really started using QuickBooks Online, and the more I used it, the more I learned about it, the more I truly came to love it, because I did not like the old version of it and wouldn't use it. And now, I like QuickBooks Online so much, I hardly use desktop at all anymore. So I just love it, and I'm really glad to have you guys joining me to learn more about it throughout these 3 webinars, so I can share some of the things that make me love it so much and some of the tips and tricks of working in it to help you use it. I am an international speaker for Intuit. I've had the privilege of going across the U.S. and across Canada. I went to Australia and over to London to help other accountants and bookkeepers learn more about QuickBooks Online. So I'm very glad to have you all joining us today. I'm the author of 5 different books. Like I mentioned, I've got one on QuickBooks, some on how to start a home-based bookkeeping business and stuff. And one that you might be interested in, if you're new to QuickBooks Online, my son and I co-authored a QuickBooks Online practice set where you can go through and have practice entering transactions, things like that. You might want to check those out on Amazon if you're interested. Also, I would encourage you to write this down, QBPowerHour.com. I'd encourage you to join me and Hector Garcia for those webinars every other Thursday. We talk about desktop, online, as well as third-party apps and practice management topics, things like that. It's a free webinar series with free CPE if you attend live. So that's enough about me. Let's go ahead and get into some of the details here. Now, this is a 3-part webinar series, as I mentioned. So today, this is part 1. We're going to be talking about QuickBooks Online Accountant. And this webinar series is geared and targeted towards accounting and bookkeeping professionals that are working with multiple clients. So that's kind of the target of it. So in this first part, we're going to be talking about QuickBooks Online Accountant. So this is something that's a tool for us as accounting professionals to manage our clients and things like that. Then in part 2, we'll talk about setting up your firm's books or the books for clients. So this second part, we're going to be showing you how to set up a company, customize the settings, and invite users. We'll talk a little bit today about converting from desktop to online. So all that is part 2. Part 3 then is managing your books, and it's actually using QuickBooks Online. We'll talk about the workflow, navigating, entering some transactions, going into the customer and the vendor center and things like that. So this is a 3-part series. We assume that you're brand new to QuickBooks Online. So if you've already been using it, that's great. You should still pick up some tips, but it does start at a basic level. So this is the fundamental series. Then here's kind of a roadmap of some of the training that's available from Intuit, and all of this is free. So you'll see there's some Firm of the Future events that they did around the country live last fall, and then today we're doing the fundamentals training. Then you might want to do the certification prep. I highly encourage you to go ahead and take the next step and get certified. I believe there's webinars on that all throughout the month. If you go to that qbtrainingevents.com, there's Cert Prep webinars. That's kind of a review of what we're covering in the fundamentals training, plus it gives a little more details on some areas that we don't cover, and it focuses on what you need to help you pass the exam. Then there's the advanced certification prep. Those of you that are ready to take it to the next level and get advanced certified, that's available for you. But even if you're not ready to take the advanced certification yet, there's some great training materials in there that might help you when you're working with your clients. So you may want to access the training even if you're not ready to take the test yet. So again, you can go to qbtrainingevents.com to sign up for all of those. So today you are eligible for CPE if you're listening to this webinar live. If you're listening to a recording of it, like on YouTube or something, there's no CPE credit. You only get that if you're attending live. We will have some polling questions today. We'll have 4 polling questions, and they'll be scattered throughout this webinar, so you need to answer those polling questions to be eligible for your CPE credit. Because this is an hour-and-a-half webinar, you do get an hour-and-a-half of CPE credits. CPE will be emailed to you within 3 weeks of the training using the same email address that you used to register. So make sure that you check your spam folder if you don't see it, and you might mark on your calendar to check for them for 3 weeks after today. Alrighty, so some of our learning objectives today, and again, remember this is part 1. We're going to talk about using QuickBooks Online Accountant, some of the benefits, some of the special features that we have for accounting professionals. I will show you how to sign up for QuickBooks Online Accountant. It is free for, again, this is for accounting professionals. And when I say that, it's accountants, bookkeepers, maybe you call yourself a consultant, where you're working with multiple clients and you're helping manage their books or clean up their books, things like that. We'll also talk to you about your books in QBOA and how you can access that, and then the next steps for learning how to use QuickBooks Online. Okay, so first of all, we're going to cover a few basics just in case you're not familiar. So we'll talk a little bit about Intuit and some of the current industry trends and why people are moving to the online platform, why people are going to the cloud. Then I'm actually going to spend most of the webinar in QuickBooks Online Accountant. So I'm going to leave the slides and we'll go in there and I'll be showing you things in QuickBooks Online Accountant. We'll talk about what the next steps are, and then your Q&A, we can answer that throughout the webinar. I know we've got a couple of Intuit people helping with that, and I thank them, and I'll periodically look and see some of the questions and answer those when you're doing the poll questions, things like that. So some of the benefits for using QuickBooks Online. Now, Intuit, the QuickBooks Online, it is the #1 small business cloud accounting solution worldwide. It is available in, gosh, I can't remember how many countries. I think it's like over 100 countries and a lot of different languages. Intuit is the creator of QuickBooks Desktop. Now, it's not the same, though. QuickBooks Desktop is not the same as QuickBooks Online. There are some differences, and throughout these 3 webinars, I will be pointing out, you know, in Desktop it was called this, and in QuickBooks Online we have that. So I'll point out some of those differences as we go throughout these 3 webinars. There's over 1.6 million small businesses who are using QuickBooks Online. It's growing rapidly, and there's the number of countries and languages, 200 plus countries, 40 plus languages. So you can truly now have clients around the world, and you can log in and see their QuickBooks Online. And Intuit's a huge company with revenues of $4.7 billion. You don't have to worry that they're going to go out of business anytime soon. You know, they're going to be there. So it is a very great cloud application. Intuit is one of the most admired companies and stuff. So that's kind of reassuring. Now let's talk about some of the industry trends. Why should we want to move from desktop to online? What we're seeing in the industry is that there's a huge platform shift. Our small businesses' expectations are changing. They expect us as the accountant to provide them cloud-based benefits. They're no longer using desktop. They're moving to the cloud ahead of us. A lot of times our clients are there before we are. And you know, if you think back, remember, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago when we started talking about online banking? And some people are like, oh no, I couldn't do online banking. That wouldn't be safe. Now look where we're at. People take a picture of their check to make the deposit on an app on their phone, and sometimes we don't even have to go to the bank anymore. So our clients have come a long way, and they're using their phones and their mobile devices for everything. You know, they can check stock prices, they can order off of Amazon, they can send emails and do things like crazy on mobiles, and so they're expecting us to be there, and they expect us to be able to help them with working in the cloud. Here's some stats on the mobility and how the use of mobile devices is truly increasing. 93% of these small businesses are using a mobile device. 93%, and most of the people have smartphones now, so they are used to using these phones for everything. And one of the things that's, if you'll notice on the right side over there, on the top right, where it says 90% impact, a positive impact on their business from mobile devices, and 85% of them are doing business-related tasks on their mobile devices. So they're already using these mobile devices to operate their business. It's only natural that they would want to also be able to do some of their accounting on there, whether it's run reports or enter an invoice or enter an expense when they go to the store and they buy some business supplies or stuff. It's only natural that they're going to want to use QuickBooks in the cloud and on their mobile devices as well. So I think it's a great benefit that we're able to access it from the mobile device or a computer or any device. So there is a huge trend in this. So it's one of the things that sometimes we have to kind of catch up with our clients. So what are some benefits for our clients? Well, they can get free tech support. If you want to let them go to Intuit, there's an online chat available and a toll-free phone where they can contact Intuit for support, or maybe you're offering them support packages as well. There are free automatic upgrades. So how many of you have clients that are still using like a 2006 version of QuickBooks Desktop or something really old, right? They don't want to update. They're like, oh, it's working fine. Why should I upgrade? You know, well, they really should, right? Well, with QuickBooks Online, you don't have to worry about that because about every month, Intuit is pushing out updates to QuickBooks Online, so it's always updated for them. You don't have to worry about that. They get the new features as they're rolled out instead of waiting, you know, until a year or not upgrading for several years. Also, there's free cloud storage. You don't have to worry about file size limitations. All right, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. They can host it with Intuit, and it's secure on Intuit servers. The reality about security, when we talk about the security aspect, is there's bank-level security. It is more secure on Intuit servers than on our own computers. Intuit spends millions and millions of dollars on data security. There's no way us or our clients can have that same level of security. So the data is very secure on Intuit servers, and they have redundant data centers. They have backups on the data center. So let's say one data center, I don't know, there's an earthquake and it collapses or something. There's another data center where it would just roll over there. So Intuit takes very good care of our data. So one of the things that we have to consider is QuickBooks Online right for your clients? So here's some things to consider. Would your clients benefit from basic business reports? Of course, most of our clients would benefit from that. Are they always on the go? Do they want to be able to access it on their mobile device? Do they need a product that will grow with them? That's one of the great things about QuickBooks Online is it does have that ability to grow, especially if you combine it with third-party apps and things. You can get quite a robust system with QuickBooks Online. Are the clients comfortable working online? All they have to be able to do is type in a URL to get in there, qbo.intuit.com. If they can get in there, they can access it, and that everything's perfect. And I'll share some tips and tricks with you for working online to help you to see how you can have multiple windows or tabs open at the same time, how you can create a bookmark or an icon bar for your clients. So some of those things will be coming up in later webinars, but I'll share some of those tips with you when you're working in Chrome that you're going to love, as well as keyboard shortcuts, things like that. So some of the stuff we loved from desktop, we can also get that when we're working with QuickBooks Online. Do they run a service-based business or some product-based businesses? QuickBooks Online Plus has FIFO inventory, but it's basic inventory. If you've got a client that needs to do assemblies or multiple location tracking and things like that, you probably are going to need a third-party app that integrates with QuickBooks Online. And there are hundreds and hundreds of apps that do integrate with QuickBooks Online. And they want a low or no maintenance solution. The great thing with QuickBooks Online, it's like outsourcing your IT department. You don't have to pay somebody to keep the network up in your office and make sure that everybody's got a good connection and the servers are working great and everything. You don't have to worry about any of that because it's taken care of. It's like outsourcing your IT department. So that's kind of cool. All right. So then also there's this QuickBooks Online ecosystem. It's a single open platform. And so let me ask you this. You know, we all, well, I won't say we all, but most of us now are using a mobile device like, you know, an iPhone or a Samsung, Android app or an iPhone or something. So what makes your phone so cool? You know, why are we not using flip phones anymore? You can still buy those. I saw someone use them when I was like, oh my gosh. But why are we not using just a basic phone? Because we want all of those third-party apps, right? The apps on our phone is what makes it so cool and so great. And that's the same with QuickBooks Online. You've got the basic QuickBooks, but then you've got all of these third-party apps that can help truly enhance the features and functionality of QuickBooks Online, making it more powerful, especially when you have clients with specific needs. like maybe nonprofit or manufacturing or construction, or they want something for contact management. There's all of these apps that will integrate with QuickBooks Online, and they may read the data and write the data from QBO, so it's seamless integration. There's hundreds of those. We'll talk a little bit more about that in one of the later sessions that we have. So QuickBooks Online is mobile ready. There is an app which is included with the subscription that will work on your phones and on your tablets. It allows you to view and edit customer information on the mobile devices. You can create invoices and estimates. You can receive payments if you're using QuickBooks Payments. You can actually receive a payment on your smartphone. You can enter an expense and see where it says add a photo. You can actually, when you enter an expense, you can take a picture of that receipt and it will be attached to that expense in QuickBooks. So it's really great to be able to do that. You might be in the office, maybe you're reconciling the bank account, things like that. Maybe your client is out and about working with their clients or their customers, and they're out in the field, and they may be entering an invoice or entering an expense. It's all syncing together so you can see that information back in your office. So that's one of the great things, is we're all working on the same file and getting updates all the time. So what we're going to be talking about today is QuickBooks Online Accountant. All right, this is kind of a dashboard for us as accounting professionals that helps us collaborate with our small business clients. It helps us work with our multiple clients. We can have integrated third-party apps that I just mentioned, and it's all together. So QuickBooks Online Accountant is kind of our dashboard and tools working with these multiple clients. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then some of the other webinars, we're going to talk about setting up QuickBooks as well as the workflow and working with it and things like that. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting into QuickBooks Online Accountant, and I'm going to be demoing and covering most of it from there. Don't forget that you've got the supplemental guide. If you didn't get the link, or if you don't have the link, you might want to, if you've got the link to these slides, you've got the link right here, that bit.ly.com/intro_QBOA. All of the details about what I'm going to be going through and QBOA can be found in that guide. All right, so you don't have to take a whole lot of notes. You've got that available in that supplemental guide. Now, first of all, let me get in and show you how you can sign up for QuickBooks Online Accountant if you don't have it already. If you go to, well, actually wait just a minute before I do that. Let's do our first poll question. All right, let me launch the first poll question for you. All right, so how familiar are you with QuickBooks Online? Let me know where you're at with QuickBooks Online yet, okay? Stephen's asking about how many concurrent users can I have on one company file. Stephen, I'm going to be talking about that throughout the webinar today. So we'll get to that because it depends on which subscription level you have, but you can have a lot. Like with QBO Plus, you could add up to 30 users plus unlimited reports only, unlimited time tracking only, and the accounting users. So we're going to be talking about all that in just a little bit, okay? All right. Somebody says, what's the easiest way to key in entries from a time period prior to installing QuickBooks? Checks, deposits, and journal entries. Joan, we don't need to be manually entering things anymore. So I would not be keying in things. What I would be doing is I would download those transactions from the bank, import them into QuickBooks Online, and set up rules. And you'll learn more about that in the webinar number 3 that we're going to be going through. Also, if you have transactions from another system that you would need to get into QuickBooks Online, there's third-party apps or tools that will help you to import transactions, like Transaction Pro Importer. So we don't need to be doing manual data entry anymore. Okay? All right, go ahead and answer that poll question, please. You've got about 10 seconds to finish answering that. So if you need CPE credit, please answer that poll question. If you need CPE credit, please answer that poll question. All right, I gave you an extra 10 seconds, and we got over 90%. So last call, answer the poll question if you need it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share the results so you can see 36% of you are new to QuickBooks Online. That's fabulous. This is a great place to start. 23% of you only work with QB Desktop. 25% have poked around in QuickBooks Online a little bit, and 16% of you do work with QuickBooks Online clients already. Super. All right, well, we're glad to have all of you joining us for that. All right. Okay, now let's get back to work. We were talking about how to sign up for QuickBooks Online Accountant if you don't have it already. One way that you could do it, if your client is using QuickBooks already and they invite you as an accountant user, when you accept that invitation, it will create a free QuickBooks Online Accountant for you. Okay, so it'll sign you up already. So if you don't have any clients on QuickBooks Online yet, you're new to it, and you don't have QBOA, this is how you're going to sign up for it. You go to QuickBooks.com. QuickBooks.com, under Accountants, you'll see QuickBooks Online Accountant. Now when I click on this, I can see the big green box right here, sign up for free. And again, this is intended for accountants and bookkeepers, people that are working with multiple clients. Now, if you were a desktop user, and let's say you already have an account with Intuit, or maybe you use ProSeries or Lacert, if you already have an Intuit account, you still need to sign up for QuickBooks Online. So what you'll want to do is click right here where it says sign in. That will give you access to QuickBooks Online Accountant. All right, so here's the sign in. If you don't have an Intuit account already, you'll need to sign up, put your username, password, and all this in here. And remember that. That's how you're going to be logging into QuickBooks Online, is whatever you put out here for your email and your password. Okay, so QuickBooks.com, and it's going to take you in here where you can sign up for QuickBooks Online Accountant. Okay, now once you've signed up for QuickBooks Online Accountant, this is what it looks like. Okay, so I am now showing you QuickBooks Online Accountant. And let me just preface it with, this is a sample firm. These are sample clients. We use these for training. None of this is real, so don't think we're divulging any client information or anything. So we've created this for us for training purposes. So this is QBOA. We're going to be going through all the details of this throughout the webinar today. You know you're in QBOA. You see the green accountant here and this green bar going across the top. That's what you'll see when you're in your dashboard, if you will. Over here on the left, you'll see under your practice, you'll see clients, and then team and pro advisor. So that's kind of the main part. Right now we're on our client dashboard. We're going to talk about the team in a little bit. We'll also talk about your pro advisor in a little bit. Also, you have your books. Your books, what this is it's a free subscription to QBO Plus for you, and I'll go over the subscription levels in a few minutes. But this is for you to use for your firm, to manage your own firm's books, to invoice your clients, to receive your payments, to do your own accounting. Your books is a free QBO Plus subscription. Okay, I'm just going to briefly show you what it looks like when you're in a client. So let's just go ahead and pop into one of our clients real quick. I'm going to go into Larry's Landscaping and just briefly show you. It is similar to QuickBooks Desktop. So this is a 2-minute introduction to QuickBooks Online. We're going to go through the details in webinars 2 and 3. So this is QuickBooks Online. I know I'm logged in as the accountant user because I see accountant in the upper left here where it says accountant. So you've got a home page, you've got a customer center, you've got a vendor center, and we're going to go through all this detail a little bit later. You've got your centers on the left navigation bar, similar to what you see in QuickBooks Desktop now. Also, when you go to enter a transaction, we've got the Quick Create menu, this plus sign in the upper right corner. The Quick Create menu allows you to enter transactions just like you would do in QuickBooks Desktop, and we're going to go over this aspect of things in webinar number 3 on entering transactions. So for example, if you wanted to enter a check, just like with QuickBooks Desktop, it's something that looks like a check. So it's very similar to QuickBooks Desktop, and we'll be going through all of that as we move along. So I just wanted to show you a quick sneak peek of it. So you've got your Quick Create menu, where you can create any transaction. Also, then we have our big gear. This is where, like in QuickBooks Desktop, you might go in and edit preferences. Well, that's where we're going to talk about account settings. We'll be going over that in webinar number 2. We'll also talk about a lot of these other things. We'll talk about your lists and tools and things like that in webinar number 2 and 3. So that's just a real quick sneak peek into a QuickBooks Online company for those of you that have not seen it yet. If I want to go back to my dashboard, I click on Account Accountant in the upper left corner, that takes me back into QuickBooks Online Accountant. So this is my dashboard. So let's talk a little bit about my dashboard here. You can see I've got a list of all my clients here. If I hover on this, you'll see little notes. Don't call this guy before noon. Don't call before 8 a.m. So you can put notes that you can see at a glance. This is at a glance the company name and phone number. I'm going to show you in a minute how to get into the company details. If you click on this green QuickBooks meatball or this little QuickBooks logo here, that will actually open that QuickBooks Online company for you. You can quickly see are the books closed or not and as of what date. So you can see Castle Construction Company doesn't have a closing, they haven't set a closing date. So you can kind of see that at a glance. You can review some of these alerts, and this is great because you can kind of keep an eye on things and monitor things. For example, Spencer's Lemonade down here has 85 transactions that have been downloaded from the bank or the credit card that haven't been accepted yet. That might be quite a few. We might want to figure out why are they not keeping up with their downloaded transactions. Is somebody on vacation? Is that my staff that's supposed to be doing that? Pardon me, or the client? And if they're not keeping up, is there a problem? What do we need to help them? So you can see some various alerts right here. Here's one, we've got a check without a payee. This one had some changes to a closed transaction and a closed period. So you can see some quick alerts right here on your dashboard. You can quickly see the last date transactions were downloaded. So like this one, we had some stuff downloaded January 19th, 2017. This one hasn't happened since October. So in the event that something goes wrong with that bank feed and downloading the transactions, you can see, wow, they haven't downloaded for a while. I better see what's wrong with that. If you're using QuickBooks Online Payroll, you'll see some payroll alerts out here. You can see this one, the setup is incomplete. This one, we need to pay them. Look, we have 77 taxes and 30 forms that we need to do. In these sample companies, we always pay people, but we never pay our taxes. So we could be getting in trouble with Larry's Landscaping if this is real, but it's not. Then also over here on the far right, we have the tax area where you can use an adjusted trial balance and actually start and prepare the tax return in ProConnect Tax Online. So that's kind of cool. I can change what I see here on my dashboard by clicking on this gear right above that list. Let's say I'm not working with the taxes at all. I could take those columns off of there if I choose to. Or I could take the payroll off if I'm not doing payroll. So you can choose what you want to see, and then you can also include if you want to see your inactive clients. If you click compact, it makes the rows smaller and tighter so you can see more on the screen at one time. So you can kind of customize how you want to see things. Now let's go ahead and look at the details for a particular client. So if I want to see the details for Larry's Landscaping, I could go ahead and click on the name Larry's Landscaping, and here in the heading part you can see we have 31 team members that have access to Larry's Landscaping. And I'm going to show you in a little bit how to add team members and things like that. So we're getting to that in just a little bit. So up here is kind of the information on Larry. Here's these bookkeeping alerts that we were talking about. Again, I can see the date the books were closed, last date somebody signed in, last download date. At a glance, I can see the last date some of these accounts were reconciled. If you scroll through here, you can see when things were reconciled. So you can kind of monitor that. Over here on the right-hand side, I can see some of those alerts that it was showing me on the home page or the client dashboard, but I can see more of those alerts here because sometimes it'll say there's more. I can't show them all. So here you can see changes to closed books, unaccepted transactions, check without a payee. If I click on any of these where it says review now, it would take me into that area where I can see, like in this example, which check is it that doesn't have a payee name. So I can click and go right in there to that. So it saves us a lot of time managing our clients and seeing some of these things. We also have a tab for payroll alerts, for tax, as well as documents over here, which we don't really use anymore. That one's kind of been pushed back. Also right here, we can see the QBO Plus. Which subscription level does this client have? All right, so we can see which subscription level. Now, what if I want to edit or make changes to my client? Up in the upper right here, where it says Edit Client, here's the client client contact information if I need to change a name or a phone number. Here's the notes where we could see, remember on the dashboard where I could hover on that little note and see that note. So if you want something to show up there, right in here's where you can put the notes information. This shows you the QuickBooks products, what they're using and things like that, and who's paying for it and stuff. And I'll talk about setting up a new client in a few minutes. And then here's the team access. I can add additional people to have access out here, or I could remove team members if I needed to. So that's kind of some of the details on the client. Now, what if this client leaves me? Maybe they're shutting down their business. Maybe they're just a client for tax purposes, and I only work with them at year end, so I don't want to see them on my dashboard all the time. Or maybe they're leaving me and going to another accounting professional. They're switching accountants. You can make a client inactive. So right next to Edit Client, when I click Make Inactive, all this does is it makes the client inactive and it removes them from my client dashboard so you won't see them here. If you'll notice when I click on this gear and I say Include Inactive, we have a whole lot of these. And it says deleted, but they're not truly deleted. They're just made inactive. It doesn't delete the data. It doesn't delete or change their subscription. It just makes them inactive from our list. If the client was truly leaving us, I'm going to go ahead and take them back off of there because we have a whole lot of those. If they were truly leaving us, what we would want to do is make them inactive, but also transfer the master admin to the client if we were the master admin. We'd also want to remove them from our wholesale billing if they were on our wholesale billing. And we're going to talk about working with your account wholesale billing in just a little while. So that's a lot about the client dashboard. One of the other things, if you have a lot of clients, sometimes it's hard to find the client you're looking for. So if you start typing, let's say like L and A, it will keep matching what you're typing so you can kind of narrow it down and filter to find the client you're looking for. So you can do this search here. Also, it will group your clients. You have a group of bookkeeping clients, which are your QBO clients, payroll, where you have QuickBooks Online Payroll, tax clients, where you're using that tax feature over there on the far right, wholesale clients, non-wholesale clients without a product, maybe these are your tax clients that aren't using any of this, and then self-employed, and we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Now, you cannot create these groups. These groups are defined by QuickBooks Online Accountant, and so you can't create a new group, and it kind of does this automatically for you, but I did want to make you aware of that. You could filter, like if I just wanted to see those two tax clients. So you can filter and do that how you need to. Okay, so hopefully that helped a little bit. All right, let's go into our team. Oh, wait, I was going to talk to you about adding a new client. I almost skipped right over that. Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, how do we get our clients on here? If the client comes to you and they're already using QuickBooks Online, and they say, you know, hey, Michelle, I need some help. Would you help me with QuickBooks? And I'll say, sure. What you need to do is invite me as the accountant's user. What your client would do in that situation is in QuickBooks. Now, I'm in a sample company here, so I can show this to you. In their QuickBooks company, this is your client's QuickBooks company, they would go under Manage Users. So the big gear in the upper right corner, Manage Users. And in here, this is where they would invite you as the accounting firm. See where it says accounting firms? And we're going to talk about different subscription levels in just a minute, but all of them allow the client to invite two accounting firms. So you may have the client may have a firm that's doing the bookkeeping and payroll, then they may also have a tax firm. All right, within each firm you can have multiple team members, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. So there is no reason for you ever to share your client's sign-on information or their login name and password, and there's no reason for people within your firm to share sign-on information. Everybody should have their own username and password because you've got two accounting firms with each subscription, and you've got multiple team members within each firm. So the client would click Invite Accountant. You would get an email, so you use the same email address that you're using for QuickBooks Online Accountant, and then you accept that invitation. After you accept that invitation, then you'll see them on your client dashboard here. If the client is not using QuickBooks Online at all and you're wanting to set them up with QuickBooks Online, then what we would do is we can click on this Add Client here, or under the plus, Under the Quick Create in QuickBooks Online Accountant, I can create a new client or a new user. We're going to talk about team members and users in just a moment. But if I want to create a new client, I can click on either Add Client or Create Client. This is going to take me through where I have to type in the business name. Is it a business or an individual? I'll say it's Michelle's Magic Shop. Normally, you would click Add More Info. Let me put something in here quick, abc@gmail.com. So we've got a business name. I can then add all this detail for the client, their contact information, notes, billing address, website, things like that. I'm going to skip that just to save time. Then here's where we need to decide which QuickBooks subscription level do we want. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop back over into my PowerPoint slide so that we can talk about these different subscription levels. I'm going to start with QuickBooks Self-Employed. Now, this is something relatively new. Intuit has created this in the last couple of years. It is intended for sole proprietors, not corporations or partnerships, but sole proprietors. You can send and track basic invoices. You can't manage accounts receivable and do AR aging reports and things like that. It does allow you to separate business and personal expenses, like on the app, on their mobile device. Like, let's say they're working with their downloaded transactions from their bank account. They can easily, like, swipe left or right, depending on whether it's personal or business. It allows them to help maximize their Schedule C deductions. It's going to be tracking their business expenses, so you can get a report of that. It will help you with the quarterly estimated taxes, because you put in how much you're getting from, like, W-2 income, and then in here it can see your Schedule C profit and income and expenses, so it can allow you to help calculate those estimated taxes. Also, it's got this mileage tracking, again, where you can swipe for business or personal. It helps with the mileage tracking. So Self-Employed initially was created for people like Uber drivers and things like that, people who are kind of combining business and personal, who have that mileage, who are Schedule C. So it's Schedule C only. So QuickBooks Self-Employed, they now can invite us as an accountant user, but there's very, very limited reports compared to some of the other ones. And there's webinars coming up on QuickBooks Self-Employed. I believe I'm doing one in April. There may be one as well. If you want to check that out, you can check that out in the training area. And I'll go over that a little bit later, qbtrainingevents.com. And I'll show you that again towards the end. Okay, now let's look here under our three other subscription levels. So Self-Employed is kind of a little different, but then we have QuickBooks Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus. Simple Start is very basic. You can create estimates and invoice, track your income and expense, you can sync your bank accounts, you can use it on any device, you can accept payments with QuickBooks Payments, and you can add payroll. Simple Start allows for one user, plus 2 accounting firms. Okay, so Simple Start, just let's say the owner of the business could use it. Simple Start is very basic, and I really, anytime I get a client that's using it, I go ahead and upgrade them to Essentials, because Essentials is actually cheaper with our wholesale pricing than Simple Start. With QuickBooks Online Essentials, you also get a company snapshot. Now you can enter bills and pay bills, so you've got accounts payable if you need that. Whereas with Simple Start, we could just enter expenses and checks and things like that. We can't enter bills and pay bills. Essentials allows you to have foreign currencies if you need to, recurring transactions as opposed to memorized transactions. In QuickBooks Desktop, we have memorized transactions, but we have recurring transactions in QuickBooks Online. Then also we can control some user access, because now we can have 3 regular users, like let's say the business owner, and maybe he has 2 sales people working for him. So they can have 3 users for the company, and then again the 2 accounting firms. Then we have QuickBooks Online Plus. QBO Plus gives us, again, all the essential features, but now we also have the ability to prepare budgets. We can create purchase orders, which new in like the latest release, I think it may not quite be out yet, but it's coming out. It was announced in the QBOblog.com. Partial purchase orders are going to be available. So that's it. You might want to even subscribe to that or check that website frequently, QBOblog.com. That's where Intuit puts out these blog posts about what the new features and the new updates are all the time. Also with QBO Plus, we can do FIFO inventory. One thing to remember is desktop was average cost, and QuickBooks Online Plus allows you to have FIFO inventory. So you have a change in accounting method there. If you got a client converting from desktop to online, you're going from average cost to FIFO, so there's a change there. And one of the things that I might mention is inventory is discussed more in depth in the Advanced Cert training materials in Module 1 under Complex Conversions. So if you got a client with inventory, I highly encourage you to check out those training materials. If you're not a member of the Pro Advisor program yet, once you signed up for QuickBooks Online Accountant and you click on Pro Advisor, which I'll show you in a little bit, you will be signed up for the free Pro Advisor program. So after you earn the regular certification, you'll have access to those advanced training materials. You might even have access to those right away, so you can access that to help you with inventory. QBO Plus also gives us location and class tracking. Also, it allows us to prepare and print or e-file our 1099s. So that's all with QBO Plus. Now, let's get back into QuickBooks here. So this is where we were setting up our clients. This is where we're going to be choosing which version or which subscription level do you want. So if your client is paying for it, you would click on Direct Discount. So this is showing you the pricing for Self-Employed, Essentials, and Plus. We don't have Simple Start here. That one's not available. So this is showing you that they're going to get a discount for the first 12 months. So this is where your client puts in their credit card and they're paying for the subscription. So you could choose which one for them. However, notice here, like QBO Plus is $28 per month, but if I'm using wholesale pricing or wholesale discounts, QBO Plus is only $20 a month. We get a 50% discount off Essentials and Plus and off of payroll. See right here where it says add payroll? So if I choose QBO Plus and I want to add payroll, I would go ahead and click add payroll here. So wholesale billing, what that is or how that works is you put in your credit card information as the accounting professional. You then are billed 50% off for the lifetime of that subscription. For the life of the subscription, you will be billed 50% discount. If the client is paying, they only get a discount the first year, and then it goes to full prices. So you get the discount forever. You get one bill for all of your clients, and then you can choose, do you want to pass that through to your clients, or do you want to bundle that into your fees? Because of how much more efficient we are working with QuickBooks Online and all the time that it saves us, many accounting professionals are no longer doing hourly billing. They're switching to value pricing or a fixed fee pricing, and they'll take that $20 a month for QBO Plus and they incorporate it into the fees. All right, so they may just say, okay, we're going to do this, that, and the other for you, and it's going to be $1,000 per month. That includes your QuickBooks. Okay, so we're providing QuickBooks for you as part of that. Now, if you choose to do that, or if you choose to bill the client, either way, you need to know what the sales tax laws are for you in regards to QuickBooks, depending on your state. Some states want you to tax QuickBooks Online. Some states, if you incorporate it into your fees and say, it's going to be included in our fees, that may make all of your fees now taxable. They want you to invoice for it separately in certain states. And so you really need to look into what are the requirements for your state and make sure that you comply with that. I would encourage you to check out an app called Ava Tax, A-V-A Tax, from Avalara. They also often help pro advisors to figure it out. So you could contact Avalara and say, hey, I'm a pro advisor in XYZ state. What are the laws as it applies to me with regards to QuickBooks? Okay, so that's something you need to find out on your own. So you choose which subscription level. You choose whether you want to add payroll. Do you want to be the master admin of the client, or do you want the client to be the master admin? You can kind of choose if you want to be master admin or not. And then team access. What team members do you want to have access to this client? So you can go through there and choose which clients you want to have access. Now, I'm not going to add another client. As you saw, we have a lot of them that are already deleted, so instead of saving and stuff, I'm going to click, I want to exit without saving. Okay, so I didn't actually save that. Had I saved it, I would now see that right here on my client dashboard. Okay, so once you've added these clients and stuff, now we were talking about team members. So over here under team, I'm going to click on team. This is where we set up all of our team members and can give them access to which clients we want to have access to. Before I continue with that, let's go ahead and do another poll. Let's go ahead and do another poll question. All right, so here's another poll question. How do you identify yourself? Are you a CPA, EA, bookkeeper, QB consultant, or other? All right. Somebody says which one would work best for a nonprofit. Nancy, that really depends, but if that nonprofit needs budgets, then you definitely would need QBO Plus. It also depends on how many users they need. The other thing to consider with QBO Plus, I forgot to mention this, with QBO Plus you have 5 regular users and you can add up to 30 regular users. Also with QBO Plus you have unlimited time tracking and reports only users. So let's say you have a nonprofit organization with 12 board members, you could give the board members access as a reports only user. So they could go in and look at the budget reports or P&L or whatever on their own. So which one is right kind of depends on their needs. And there is a webinar, and actually I have one on my YouTube channel. If you go to Michelle Long CPA on YouTube, and scroll back, it's been back just a little ways, but which QuickBooks is right for my client, talking about the differences between QuickBooks Desktop and Online and how to determine which one's right for your client. I kind of go through that and help you to, understand the differences between the different subscription levels and stuff. Okay. Let's see if there's any questions. Go ahead and answer that poll question. 90% of you have voted. That's super. I'm going to give you about 10 to 15 seconds more. If you need CPE credit, please go ahead and do that. Please go ahead and do that. Oh, and this is great. Dan had a question. Can QBO Plus handle the consolidation of a foreign subsidiary? So Dan, I'm going to assume that the foreign subsidiary has its own QBO subscription, and then you've got QBO as well for the parent company. What you would need to do in a situation like that, I would recommend you look at something, oh gosh, I'm having a brain freeze. It's the reporting app. Oh gosh, I just totally forgot the name of the reporting app. QVinci. 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 It will allow you to do consolidations and a lot of great reporting when you have multiple entities or multiple QuickBooks files in that situation. So that's a great question, and thank you, my Intuit helpers, for flagging that question so I can answer it for them. Okay, let me go ahead and close the poll, and I'll share the results with you quickly. So you can see 41% are CPAs, 7% EAs. Wow, thank you CPAs and EAs for joining this time of the year. I know how busy you probably are with taxes. 35% bookkeepers, also busy, 7% consultants, and 25% other. All right, well thank you all for joining us. I know it is a busy time of the year, so I appreciate you coming. Okay, so now we were going to talk about adding a team member. Adding a team member here. Somebody says, why do I need CPE credits? If you're a certified professional accountant, a CPA, or maybe you're a CB, a certified bookkeeper, if you have various certifications, a lot of times they require you to have continuing professional education, and you have to get so many CPE credits per year. So in those situations, that's why you may not need CPE. If you're not certified and you don't need to worry about it, that's okay. You can still answer the poll question for us. But if you need CPE, you definitely need to do that. Okay, I'm going to click on Add a User, and I'm going to invite a new team member here. So I'm just going to pretend I'm inviting myself because I'm not going to save it. And I'll type in Michelle Long, again, email. I usually use something silly that's not out there already, hopefully, at gmail.com. And I could put a title in there. So you put the information for your staff. All right, so this could be for your employees, or if you're subcontractor, maybe you have subcontractors helping you. This is when you need to add some of your team members, whether they're an employee or a subcontractor. You put in there their name and their email address. So again, this is why we don't share email information. And here's where under access, this is access to our firm's administration, and books. Remember I said you have your books? That's your firm books. Also the firm administration, like right here. Can they see the firm information? You want to let them view it or edit it. Firm users, can they add and remove other team members? And then the subscriptions and billing. So for your staff, you probably are going to give them view only here and no access to the rest of this. Also with your books, you probably don't want to give them access to your own firm's books unless they're doing the bookkeeping for the firm, unless maybe they're a partner of the firm. So this is allowing you to control what they see from the firm perspective. And now in the bottom right, when I click next, this is where I can choose the client access for this new team member. So let's say I'm just hiring this new staff person. I don't want to give them access to all of my clients. Maybe I just want to get them started with beautiful landscaping, castle construction, and maybe Larry's landscaping. So I can pick and choose what access I want to give to a particular team member, and I can change that as needed. So if let's say your staff person leaves your firm, you can come in and quickly remove their access. You also then could give them additional access if you need to give them access to other clients. So for example, here I am out here. If you click on, let me show you that again because I did it fast. If you click on a team member's name, out there you can change their user profile. Under the firm admin and books, you could change that. And here's client access. So at any given time, you can give them access to additional clients, or you could also remove their access. So that's kind of helpful. So this is all your team members. This is where I said with each subscription of QuickBooks, whether they're using Simple Start, Essentials, or Plus, they can invite 2 accounting firms, and within your firm, you can have as many users as you need. So let's say there's a bookkeeping firm with 5 users that have access to that client, and then there's a tax firm and they have 3 users or 3 team members in the tax firm that has access to that client. So again, there's no reason anybody should be sharing login information. Everybody should have their own sign-in information. There's no additional cost for adding an accounting firm or adding team members. It's all included in the basic subscription. So I encourage you to do that. Okay, so that's our team members, and then let's talk about this Pro Advisor tab here. Under the Pro Advisor tab here, see if there's any questions real quick. Okay, so here's a great question. Thank you, Julie, for asking it. What if our firm currently has multiple accounts because we had an account and then a client sent an invite to a team member? How do we consolidate? So Julie, and to everybody, here's the situation. When you have your firm with team members, you should have one email address that the clients invite. So let's say, for example, my firm is called Long for Success. I might have an email address, QBO admin at Long for Success. So clients would always invite QBO admin at longforsuccess.com. And then whoever's the admin for your firm, the admin goes in and gives access to whichever team members needs access to it. So in your situation, the client invited a team member. What I would have the client do is delete that team member as an accountant's user and invite your admin email information. So who's going to be responsible within your firm? So you've got one email address, because what if that team member leaves your firm? You know, you have staff that come and go, and so you need one admin person within the firm who then makes sure the client is set up properly, manages the billing, and gives access to the team members who need access to that client. So in your situation, I would delete the team member access, have the client re-invite the firm as access to that. So I hope that was helpful there. Okay, we were going to talk about Pro Advisor now. So on the left navigation bar, this is Pro Advisor. This is where we can go in and access all of our Pro Advisor information. Again, once you sign up for QuickBooks Online Accountant and you click on Pro Advisor, it will sign you up for the free Pro Advisor program, because there are 3 membership levels for the Pro Advisor program now. The free one gives you access to QuickBooks Online, all the QuickBooks Online Accountant, so the software, the training, the support, the certification is all free for QuickBooks Online. If you want QuickBooks Desktop Accountant, the software, the training, the certification, the support, then that's the middle level. I think it's called Deluxe, and I think, I'm not positive, I think it was about $350 per year, or $350 or $400, I can't remember the pricing. Then if you want QuickBooks Enterprise and Point of Sale and Mac, those are with the premium Pro Advisor level, and I think that's $550 or $600. You get the training, certification, and support. So you'd have the certification for QuickBooks Enterprise and Point of Sale, and you get the software, including QuickBooks Mac. So you can choose which level of the Pro Advisor program you want, but when you sign up for QuickBooks Online Accountant, you will get signed up for the QuickBooks Pro Advisor program. All right, so here's where we're going to talk about the certification. You will only have access, if you have the free one, you'll only have access to QuickBooks Online and Online Advanced. If you have one of the other subscription levels, then you might see the desktop or enterprise or point of sale, depending on which level of the Pro Advisor program you've joined. But if you're in the free one, you'll just have access to QuickBooks Online. Under this QuickBooks Online, I'd like you to see, this is where, if you don't see this, click on that name and it will open up the details. Here's where you can register directly from here to attend an in-person training. Now, right now, we don't have any of these scheduled because it's busy season. After busy season, starting up, I think, right away in May and June, and continuing, throughout the rest of the year, we will have seminars in various cities across the U.S. So you can check for that in-person training, or they always have live webinars. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and click on this and say open this in a new tab so I can show it to you. So here's where, if you go to QB Training Events, QBTrainingEvents.com, it will take you right to this page. This is where you'll see webinars. Here's the webinars we have coming up next week, part 2 and 3. All of these are being recorded. So if you can't attend, go ahead and reserve your place, and you'll get the link to the recording, or check the YouTube afterwards so that you get that recording. But here's where you have webinars, and you have all kinds of webinars. You also have webinars on QuickBooks Self-Employed, on converting from desktop. I think there's one. I think there's one on which QuickBooks might be right for your client. So scroll down here and through here and see some of the other webinars. For example, here's that one on QuickBooks Self-Employed, if you want to learn more about that one. So there's lots of different webinars out here that you can go check out. All right. Then also we have that in-person training that we talked about, seminars throughout various cities. If there's one in a city near you, I encourage you, especially if you're not certified yet. Those are usually the certification prep webinars. That is a great opportunity if you want live training to attend those in various cities, and we give you free food, and we help you get certified that day before you leave at the end of the day. We allow you time to take the test for the regular certification, so keep that in mind. Then also, usually every month they have a virtual conference. It's like 2 days of webinars kind of all day. It's in a virtual conference environment. So all that training from Intuit is free, and most of it is eligible for CPE credit. So I encourage you to do all that. The other thing I wanted to point out for you is after you check out the training, you can do that, or if you want to train on your own, or regardless, as a resource, you've got these supplemental guides. I encourage you to download all of those and use those and refer to those as you're learning QuickBooks, as you're working on the exam. You can double check your answers, things like that. The training modules are a recording, so it's kind of self-study. So if you want to go through on your own, let's say you can't attend any of the live events or the training or the recons, and you want to work on it evenings and Saturdays and things like that, this is where you can listen to the recorded modules and go through it at your own pace. When you're ready to take that exam, you would click right here where it says Take Exam. After you get certified, then you download your badge, and you can use that Certified Pro Advisor badge on your website, on your business cards, and things like that. The other thing that I had mentioned to you all is the QuickBooks Online training materials. Even if you're not ready to take the test yet, which if you're new to QuickBooks Online, you're not ready for this, because it is a challenging test. The QuickBooks Online certification test, the regular one, is multiple choice, so it's not overly difficult. There's only 15 questions per module, 75 total. With the advanced certification, This takes a long time. It takes a time commitment, and it's not multiple choice. It's like client scenarios where you might have to go into the QuickBooks sample company and enter transactions and then run reports and say what are the totals that you got. So it is more challenging. So if you're not ready for it yet, though, you can access these training materials. So under the supplemental guide, for example, complex conversions, this one's great. It talks to you in detail about what does and does not convert from QuickBooks Desktop, because you can convert. Let me just go ahead and mention that right now. There we go. You can convert from all versions of QuickBooks Desktop, from Desktop for Windows, Desktop for Mac, QuickBooks Enterprise. So all of these QuickBooks Desktop products allow you to convert to QuickBooks Online. All right, there's a data conversion tool that will do that for you first. However, there's best practices. You should clean up the file first and things like that. So there's some best practices that you want to do and things to think about before you just use that data conversion tool. You might want to condense the data. You might need to clean up the data, various things like that. So that's where you can get more of that details under Module 1. Also, if you're setting up the company from scratch and you want to enter beginning balances, it gives you how to do that, the steps and what you do to put the initial beginning balances and open transactions in there and things. So these training materials out here are a wealth of resources for you. These are free as a pro advisor. So I encourage you to access them as you're working with clients and learning more about QuickBooks Online. These can help you. So check them out, look and see what's out there, download this guide, look at the contents, and see if it's things that will help you. When you want to listen to the recordings, you can then listen to the training modules. So I encourage you to access that. Even if you're not ready to take the test yet, it's a great resource when you're working with your clients and you're trying to learn more or you have questions. Okay? So that was a little bit about the certification. I do highly encourage you to get certified. It is well worth it. And then also to get advanced certified. After you get certified, what you want to do is you'll want to complete your profile. You'll notice here it says your profile has a new home. Look right up here where you've got this little person icon. That's a shortcut to your profile up here. So under your profile, it's going to give you information on your performance, on your strengths, help you improve your profile. So what you're going to, well, that's kind of cool, 12 leads and inquiries. So it allows you to kind of see this, what you have up there. So you'll want to go through and make sure that you look at some of this, make sure you have a picture, and this is an old one. Sorry, I need to update it. And also make sure you don't just use your firm logo. People want to see your name out there. All right, and then you'll see it'll show your certifications here, and this is interesting, isn't it? Look at this. I said I'm not accepting new clients at this time, and I still get people contacting me. So that's interesting. But you can put your years in businesses, your services, the industries that you serve, link your social sites, what software experience do you have, your designations, and then also client reviews. You do want to try to get some client reviews because that helps with your ranking. So you're listing out your designations, your expertise, what you work with, all of those details there. So up here, don't put those details under the About Me. Don't put under About Me, you know, we provide accounting and bookkeeping services and blah, blah, blah. You know, you want to talk about some of the benefits that you can provide for your clients and stuff. So you'll want to work on your profile and make sure that, you know, you update that and have a good profile out there. All right. Somebody says, how can we practice through free trial Pro Advisor? So here's a great way that you can practice. And so let me just show you this, and then we'll talk some more about this Pro Advisor area. And I also need to do another poll question. So quickly, though, how do you access that sample company? Because over here, this is Craig's Landscape and Design and Landscaping Services. This is a sample company or a test drive that anybody can use to play around in QuickBooks. You can enter transactions, you can work with the downloaded bank transactions. So in here there are some bank transactions that have already been downloaded, so you can work with adding and matching them. You can enter some transactions. You could even connect your own bank account, download transactions. You can do whatever you kind of want out here when you're playing with it. The minute you log out, everything's wiped out. It doesn't save anything. So every time I log in, I will see 25 transactions downloaded ready for me to work with, sample transactions. So this is what we use a lot of time for training and demonstrating things, and I'll be using it in webinars 2 and 3. So how do you access that? You could Google QuickBooks Online Test Drive and you'll find a link to it. However, when you do that, it does not give you access to, let me go back over here and show you, to the accounting tools that you'll learn more about in the certification prep. These accountant tools are available to us only when we're logged in as an accountant. So you'll want to log into Craig's Design and Landscaping as the accountant user so you have access to some of that. So what you do is when you're in QBOA, you click on the gear up here, up on that gear, and see where it says Sample Company. That's where you're going to go in, and I click that. It logs me out of QuickBooks Online Accountant and into that sample company. That's why I've got it open separately, so it didn't log me out of QBOA. All right, so that's something to keep in mind. That's where you can access that. Let me go ahead and launch the next poll question for CPE credit. So those of you that need that, could you go ahead and answer this, please? Somebody said, can you use this for church business to report tithes and offerings? Darlene, you could. Some people will do the tithes as a estimate. So if you wanted to put that out there, you could do that. Some people will just enter the donations as a sales receipt. But if you've got a robust nonprofit organization where they have lots of different fund accounting and requirements, you may want to look at a third-party app. Also, there are third-party apps that will integrate for nonprofits to manage their donors and things like that. So you might want to check out some of that as well. Okay. Does it matter if I use a PC and my client uses a Mac? No, that's one of the great things is your client can use a Mac, you can use a PC, and your client might have staff members, or you might have staff members that are using, you know, QuickBooks in a mobile device entering transactions out in the field. Let's say the client has a plumbing business and their plumbers are out in the field entering sales receipts and things like that. So people can access QuickBooks Online from either the mobile app, from Chrome on your iPad or your tablets. So you can access almost everything through Chrome on your tablet, or you can use Chrome or Safari on a computer. Chrome is the recommended browser. When you're on a computer, Chrome is recommended. Even if you're using Mac, you can use Chrome on a Mac as well. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, about 10 seconds more for this poll question. Go ahead and answer this. If you're enrolled in the Pro Advisor program, go ahead and answer that. All right, somebody has unmuted themselves. Did you want to add something, anybody? All right, thank you. Wendy muted people. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close that poll question. Close, and I'll share the results with you. All right, 9% of you are part of the Pro Advisor program for QuickBooks Desktop, 23% online, 7% both, 61% no. Well, if you're an accounting professional working with multiple clients, I hope you will join it after this webinar series and you learn how cool it is, because I'll be sharing how much I really love QuickBooks Online in some of the other webinars. Today it's all about QuickBooks Online Accountant. Okay. We were getting ready to, continue on under the Pro Advisor area. Then also I need to talk to you about your account, your wholesale account. So let's not forget that. Hopefully I won't. All right, so we talked about the certification. We talked about your profile. Then under training, this is where you can access training for your clients. Your training is under the certification tab here. Okay, this is where you come in for your training under certification. But this training tab here is training for your clients, and you'll see we got online and desktop. What you have out here is when I click on training for your clients, it opens up the details. This is where you have 5 different courses: the getting started, navigating, recording, reporting, and expanding the usability. Notice I have it as a PDF and as a doc. What I would do in a situation like this, like how I use it is, you know, I told you I taught courses for the SBDC for many, many years. And I would use the training materials, and we would provide those as the handouts to the attendees. Now, we started giving them links to download it instead of printing it out, because the training for your clients under QuickBooks Desktop, that one has 16 different lessons. That one's a lot more involved. And so we would download those and have it as a link where the the attendees could download it. But with QuickBooks Online, what I encourage you to do is download the doc. So let's say I have a client that says, Michelle, would you teach me how to use QuickBooks Online? And I say, sure. Okay, I might do the setup for you, and then I'm going to train you. And as part of the training, what we do is we have multiple sessions, like maybe we have 4 sessions. I would provide the client with a recording of the training, because I do them remotely. So I would provide a recording of the training and these handouts. So what I do is I get this Word doc, download it, put your firm information and contact information on there, and then save it as a PDF. You can even customize these for your clients, like under recording transactions. If they're not doing enter bills and pay bills, you could delete that part of the training material so it doesn't confuse them. But this is something of value that you can provide to your clients, and Intuit provides to us for free. So we can use this to give to our clients for free. We can't sell this though. Like I couldn't go put this together and sell it individually. It's a free tool for us to provide free resources to our clients. So that's a great resource that I encourage you to kind of check out there as well. All righty. And this is a great question. I'm a tax professional looking to do some bookkeeping and consulting. Would it be beneficial for me to sign up for the Pro Advisor? Absolutely. You may have tax clients that come to you that are using QuickBooks Online, and then you would be able to go in and run reports for yourself. You'd be able to use that adjusted trial balance that's available in QuickBooks Online Accountant. If you need to make some corrections for year end, you'd be able to do that stuff. So yes, I encourage you to use QuickBooks Online if you're working with multiple clients, QuickBooks Online Accountant. So definitely sign up for the Pro Advisor program and continue this fundamentals training, and then also work on that certification. Okay, under software and discounts, this is where you can get discounts on some of the desktop software and things like that. But one of the things I definitely want to point out to you, notice over here on the right side under Quick Links. On the right side under Quick Links, do you see where it says Special Offers on Apps? This is a great area. Once you're a Pro Advisor, you get lots of free stuff. And who doesn't like free stuff, right? Lots of these apps will give us a free subscription for our own firm so that we can use it and get familiar with it. For example, HubDoc. That is a great app where you can manage bills and things for your clients, or for yourself in this example. Like if you got bills coming in or your expenses coming in, it keeps all these documents in one place. But the thing that I love best about it, it will automatically fetch bank statements and credit card statements. You know, we still have to reconcile every month, right? And why do we want to spend all this time logging into the bank or the credit card, downloading the PDF statements so we can do the reconciliation? HubDoc will fetch them for you. They're sitting there in the folder. When you're ready to use them, they're there. You'll get a free subscription for yourself. Fathom is a great reporting app that allows you to see insight and stuff on the business performance. Receipt Bank is really cool because when you use a QBO mobile app to enter an expense, you have to enter the date, you have to choose the vendor name, put in the amount, things like that. Receipt Bank, all you have to do is take a picture of it, and it can scan it and read it, and you can set up rules and things like that. So that's pretty cool. T-Sheets, it's the amazing #1 rated timekeeping app. It fully integrates with QuickBooks Online, so it's really cool. Those all give you a free subscription for your own. Then these have, they're featured. They have special kind of partnership with Intuit, but there's also a lot of other apps that will give you some discounts or free subscriptions to use as a Pro Advisor. So I would encourage you to check these out, and if the app's not listed there, always ask them, you know, what specials do you have for Pro Advisors? Because a lot of times they'll give us either a free account or discounts or some things like that. So I encourage you to check some of that out. Again, that's a great resource for you. So somebody said again, how did I get there? Let's go back. Oops, sorry, let's just close this. Under QuickBooks, under the Pro Advisor on the left navigation bar, under Software and Discounts, under Quick Links over here, it says Special Offers on Apps. Okay, so look for those special offers on apps. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Okay, Then also here's some resources that are available for you. You've got some various books that are available out there. There's various webinars out here. There's some sample engagement letters down here and just some different things down there that are available for you. Here's where you might see notifications from Intuit. So this is where they're going to have some big announcements, things like that, to kind of keep you up to date with some new things like that. So this will allow you to see any notifications that are coming out. So all of that is under your Pro Advisor area. One more thing that I want to point out to you about this, and then we'll talk about your account in the wholesale and do some more questions and stuff. When you first join the Pro Advisor program, or you have less, and so you're not certified, and you have less than 5 clients, you're a silver member level. Okay, so see where it says silver? So when you first join, you're silver. When you're not certified, you have less than 5 QuickBooks Online clients. If you get certified, or I should say after you get certified, because I encourage you all to, right? Yes? We're all going to get certified. So after you're certified, you'll be a gold member. Or if you get between 5 and 19 QuickBooks Online clients. So it's an either or. Either you get certified or you have between 5 and 19 clients, you move to the gold level. Then when you get advanced certified or you have more than 20 QuickBooks Online clients, you will be diamond level. Okay? What are the advantages to being gold or diamond level? Well, for example, with diamond level, I highly recommend it because you get better support. When you call in, you get diamond level support, which is like level 2 of the support. Also, you get ranked higher on the Find a Pro Advisor website. So I encourage you to get to diamond level. Again, that's either getting advanced certified or having more than 20 clients. And speaking of support, that's one of my favorite benefits of being a Pro Advisor. If I click up here on this gear, or I'm sorry, not the gear, the question mark, if I click on the question mark, this is awesome because this is where it will show you, you can get into that live chat. See where it says chat now? I could come in and just go right into the chat, or I've got a link to this support number right here where I could call support. So I like how easy that is to access it. Now, while we're up here, another thing that I wanted to point out to you was under this gear, this is where you access your account to manage your wholesale billing and things like that. So under your account, this is where you'll see down here, we've got manage our wholesale clients. We don't have anything out here because this is a sample company. So, you know, you would see your information if you had set it up. You'd also see your wholesale clients listed down here if you had some. And then when you have clients, let's say the client already was using QuickBooks Online and they sent you an invitation to be an accountant user, notice over here it's kind of grayed out or greened out in this case where it says move clients to wholesale. So if the client signed up on their own and they're paying their own subscription, but you want to add them to your wholesale subscription or your wholesale billing, you can select that client and move them to your wholesale pricing. If the client leaves you, this is where you would go down here under wholesale clients, select that client, and you can choose remove from wholesale billing. So you can take them off of your wholesale billing. So you can add them on, you can take them off as needed. Again, that's under the gear and your account where you can access that information. All right, I'm going to go back to my main dashboard here, and I'm going to see we've got a flagged question here. I gave administrative access to a client to download a third-party app which download transactions into QuickBooks. Would this work properly for classifying sales income and if I need to make general journal entries to record actual sales tax? Okay, so I'm not sure. Let me read this again. So they gave admin access to a client, and that's no problem. You should have your clients being admin access. You can have, you as the accountant's user can have access. Let me go into this client here. Under this gear where it says manage users, this is where the client up here can be an admin. And you, under the accounting firm, can also have admin access. So having the client being an admin is no problem there. You're right, the client as the admin should integrate that third-party app. So they should do that integration with the third-party app. Would this work for classifying sales income? I'm not sure because I don't know what app you're doing, but I would assume it would probably work. If I need to make general journal entries to record actual sales tax, since they don't have it separated on the sales end. How do I do that? So how do you enter a journal entry? That's covered in one of the later modules, but I'll just show you that, or one of the later webinars. Under the Quick Create menu, right here, you can see where it says Journal Entry. So you could click on Journal Entry, go ahead and enter that as well. All right, so the client would be the mouse, can be an admin, and you also can be in there with admin access as the accounting firm. So you both can be in there doing what you need to do. And speaking of doing what you need to do, let's say you need to go into Larry's Landscaping and work on them. I would click on this green QB icon, and it turns green when you hover your mouse over it. So I would go ahead and click on that icon of whichever company I wanted to go into. So I go into Larry's Landscaping, and maybe I'm entering a journal entry, maybe I'm reconciling the bank account, I'm in here doing whatever I need to do, and then maybe a client calls me up and I need to switch and open that client company. All you need to do is point to the name up here. This is called the client switcher on this toolbar going across the top. So you click on the name to activate the client switcher, and then go ahead and click on whichever company you want to go into. Maybe I want to go into Castle Construction Company because they have a question, or I need to do something with this client. It's really quick and easy to switch in and out of your client companies. It's actually much faster than doing it in QuickBooks Desktop. It takes a while to close and open desktop files, but using this client switcher is pretty quick and easy in QuickBooks Online. So I really love that. So again, you just click on the name, click on the company you want to go into, switch companies. Now I'm going to go back to my dashboard, so I'm going to click on Accountant in the upper left corner. That takes me back to my client dashboard. And there's one last thing I want to make sure I point out for you before we wrap up today, or we wrap up this webinar. I had told you under your books, you get a QBO Plus subscription for your own firm. That should be used for your own firm. Don't use it to just play around with sample company that you might set up there. Don't use it for a client, like let's say a nonprofit, you wanted to let them have your free subscription, because it's important to remember that the client list from your books will be syncing with the client list on your dashboard. So the names that I have here are going to be the same clients that I have in my books. So it's syncing that, so we only have to do the data entry one time. So you would not want to put a client under your books, because you don't want their customers showing up on your client dashboard here. So just keep that in mind. Your books should be used for your firm, because those client lists will be, or those client names will be syncing, okay? So it's something to just keep in mind. Now, if you need additional help, here's some information on the customer care team. They are great. I love the people down in Tucson that help us out so much. Also, one thing I would really point out to you is make sure you check out the QBO blog on a regular basis. Remember I mentioned that Intuit pushes out updates to QuickBooks Online about every month, roughly every 4 to 6 weeks. So check that blog often. I think there's a shortcut URL that's just QBOblog.com that will take you there as well. But you might put in your calendar to check it every month or something like that for updates that are out there. So make sure that you do that as well. All right, so what's coming next? In the QBO Fundamentals Series Part 2, next time we'll be talking about setting up your firm's books or setting up a QuickBooks company in QuickBooks Online. So we'll talk about those company settings, which is kind of the equivalent of editing preferences. We'll talk about editing or managing your chart of accounts, adding new ones, products and services, working with your customers and vendors as far as setting them up and adding new ones. We'll talk about setting up bank feeds and payroll if your client is using that, and then some general navigation and some QBO tools. So hopefully you'll join us for Part 2. Then in Part 3, we actually get into managing the books. We'll talk about money going out with expenses and the purchasing workflow, money coming in on the sales workflow, doing invoices, receiving payments, the bank deposits. We'll talk about the whole workflow there. We'll talk about efficient browser use and give you some tips, running payroll if you need to do that, monthly reconciliations, reports, and then also make sure you know about the mobile and the desktop app. So I hope you're going to be able to join me for the webinars Part 2 and 3 of the Fundamentals series. So your next steps. Make sure, if you haven't already, that you sign up for QuickBooks Online Accountant. Please, complete this fundamentals training. Join me for the live webinars or listen to those recordings. Then also start working on your QuickBooks certification. I really encourage you to do that. Again, I mentioned you can do live webinars, live events in various cities, or you can do the self-study option if you prefer that method as well. Then start working on getting your first few clients. try to identify 3 clients that would be a good fit for QuickBooks Online, and start with easy clients. Don't start with the hard ones. So, maybe look for some service-based businesses, maybe where they're out in the field and they would love to use their mobile app for entering invoices or entering expenses, things like that. So get yourself started with maybe just 3 clients initially. Then don't forget, there's a whole roadmap of training at qbtrainingevents.com. Hopefully you're completing the fundamentals now. Then you might want to work on this certification prep. I encourage you to do that. And then also the advanced certification prep. So there's some more information here, QuickBooksTrainingEvents.com. There's different options for you that I mentioned previously. The training tour will start up again in May and throughout the rest of the year, training in various cities throughout the U.S. So you'll want to keep checking that, and make sure also that you've opted in on Intuit's email list so that they can email you notifications about this. Another thing you might want to do is subscribe to my blog at Long for Success. So that's my business is Long for Success. So longforsuccess.com/blog. And I usually post out there about upcoming events and cities that I'll be at. If you're going to be in one of my cities, I would love to have you say hi. If not, there's still other cities with some of the other great trainers doing this as well. Then also don't forget there's those live webinars throughout the month that you can take additional training. And all of this training from Intuit is free, and many of it includes CPE credit. So take advantage of that. All right, we've already been doing our Q&A throughout the webinar today, and thank you to the Intuit support people who were helping answer questions today. I really appreciate that. Another quick reminder, your CPE certificate will be mailed directly to you within 3 weeks of this training using the same email address that you used to register for this webinar. And then keep a copy of that for your own records. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to Wendy and the Intuit people for helping today. Thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope the rest of your day goes great. I hope to see you for webinars 2 and 3. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.